Welcome back to the show as we return now to Baku for highlights from the UIM Formula 2 World Championships.
So everything is ready for the start of this race. We see Pelle Larsson on his spot at the top of the pontoon. He has a clear sight of all the race course. He's in touch, of course, with all the other people located around the race field. We see one of the rescue boats is in position on the left part of the race track. And so now they started. This is the Formula 2 World Championship in Baku. On the left of the screen, Stark, Zantelli and Andersson, but it's a very good start from Osterberg and also from the teammate Söderling. A very bad start from Paul Virik Nielsen. We see Eric Stark losing a lot of position. His boat shaking too much. And yeah, this is Eric Stark in very dirty waters. Andersson has passed. And we see, yeah, Paul Virik Nielsen is in the very last positions now. There's a very, very busy race field. You see a lot of waves of wakes. This is Mette Bjarkes in one of the last positions, also for her a bad start. At the first buoy we see it's Johan Osterberg leading the race. He has a very big advantage because he can run in very clear water, not disturbed by the wakes and by the waves made by other boats. That's a problem for the ones that stay behind him. We see Johan Osterberg on this racetrack. It's quite a short racetrack. It's about 42-45 seconds. This is a turn for Ulvis Lakteris, who has passed Paolo Zantelli. This is Zantelli. He started in second position. He's now third. We see Osterberg followed by the Latvian, the very expert Latvian racer Ulvis Lakteris. He's been racing for many years. He also got the second position in the World Championship in 2009. This is Bimba Sjolm on the right part of the screen with the silver boat. She's overtaking. This is number 82. He's the Belaxerin, the Hungarian. And Osterberg still leading. The first parts of the race, of course, are really, really hard for the drivers because they have to avoid to get involved in any kind of crash. And there's also a problem with visibility, a problem with maneuverability. I told you about the waves. And we've seen passing also Johan Andersson. This is Ole Patterson, a lot of Swede drivers. You see the turning, there's different approaches. Drivers can turn very, very tight. This means less distance to drive, but at the same time it means that they can lose speed. So otherwise, on the opposite, you can take the turn very slightly and very far. You lose less speed, but you also have to make more distance. So still in the lead with now a good lead, Johan Osterberg, followed by Ulvis Lakteris. You see the setup of the boat is very well balanced. When they turn, is a very large turn from Osterberg. When they turn, of course, they have to maneuver the engine, the trim of the engine, which is the position of the engine, because in the turn you don't want the propeller to be too close to the surface, otherwise it loses, let's say, loses grip on the water. So anytime you make a turn, you have to put a bit the trim of the engine down, and then when you go back on the straight, you put it up. And there's a yellow flag. We see one of the commissioners waving a yellow flag. We see what's happening. We didn't see from the image, but we can see from our position there should have been a crash. And that's, yes, it's number 17, Simone Schuft. She capsized. We see the rescue boat arriving immediately on the spot of the crash. We also see a diver at the cockpit. You see, it's a bit relieving the fact that these boats, even in case of crash, are always floating. We told you there's an airbag that engages in case of capsizing. We now see the rescue. We're talking about safety every time, and we've seen exactly what it means. In just a few seconds after the crash, 2 rescue boats are already on the spot. Yellow flag means, of course, that all the other drivers need to slow down. They cannot overtake each other. There isn't any pace boat in this case, but it's admitted by the rules. If there is not the pace boat on the racetrack, the first driver will give the pace to all the others, and in particular he will be obliged not to go over 4,000 revolutions per minute, 4,000 RPM with engine. These engines are two-stroke, they can rev up to 8,000 for a top speed, depending of course on the use of the propeller, that can go up to 190. We've seen Eric Stark yesterday getting to 182 in his longest straight. So the speed is limited now because they cannot rev over 4,000 RPM. Is Johan Osterberg leading, all the others stay behind. We've seen a nice gesture from the officer from Pelle Larsson. He raised the finger like saying everything is fine. So he got the confirmation probably via radio from the rescue boat that the driver Simone Schuft is doing fine. That's good to know. We didn't see exactly the crash, it didn't seem very hard, but you never know. Anyway, as we stress all the times, these boats are very safe. So Osterberg, Slakteris and Zantelli in the first three positions. They stay very close to each other even if they cannot overtake. This is a starting. We see Eric Stark didn't start very well. The two orange boats, the teammates Söderlin and Osterberg started very well, and also Slakteris in the middle of them with the yellow and red boat. Yeah, this is Zantelli, and Eric Stark is behind. So once again, we were saying the boats needs to keep their positions. It's a very tense moment because it's a matter of trying to stay very close to the boat that's ahead of you, because you never know when the commissioner that you see in the images now, you never know when he's waving the green flag again, and as soon as he waves the green flag you have to start immediately, pedal to the metal and take back all the speed. So the closer you are to the one ahead of you, the better it is for the restart. Another image, another camera for the start. We see the black boat in the middle of the screen for Paul Virik Nielsen, a very bad start. We see a very good start, as we said, for the orange boats of the Aho team. This is also Bella Cerny in closest to our screen. And then they go to the first buoy. Still a yellow flag. These boats float, as we say, because of an airbag. How does it work? The airbag stays behind the shoulders, behind the back of the driver, in the back of the cockpit then, and it has a mechanism that it doesn't deploy immediately, because let's say you take a big wave, the boat can move very suddenly, and you don't want the airbag to deploy if there's no need to. So it has a delay time of 2 seconds. So after the boat has capsized, 2 seconds is the time to be sure that the boat is not getting back to the right position and continue to race, but also to be sure that the boat is not sinking. In these 2 seconds, the airbag waits and then it deploys, and it permits the boat to stay outside of the water with the tip part, which is the cockpit. So the driver will be outside of the water and he can breathe, even if he, in the worst case, has lost consciousness, which luckily rarely happens. You see the water, it's quite calm, a bit choppy just on the outturned straight. The race has been delayed about an hour because it was quite windy and it could have been dangerous for the drivers, but then the starting flag has been waved. Now it's still windy, but the water condition is good. We have different boat builders in this championship. That's Molgård from Sweden, that's Baba and Duck Racing, both from Italy. There's Clerici also from Italy. And the drivers, of course, some prefer some boats, some others prefer some others. They say that some of the builders make better boats for calm waters, and while some other boats are better for choppy and hard waves. But it also depends on the sensitivity of the driver.
And we'll be on the water again in Baku after this very short break. Plus, still to come, we've got kiteboarding action from the PKRA World Tour.